guys to join the roundtable. My name's Shaariq. I head up the dynamic side of things for Amicus. That's the topic of discussion for today is going to be the AI and dynamics, and glad to have you guys on board. Do you guys just want to introduce yourselves one by one, starting from Stas?
Yeah, sure. My name is Stas Grigartas. I'm working in the Netherlands for the company QS Solutions in the function of team lead. So basically, I have 10 consultants who are working together with me to make some nice product at our customers. Most of the time, we are working for the health companies. We have our own product, which we call Care 365, which helps our customers to basically. So I just forgetting the English words for it. Now, like when the new clients are coming into the company, so the whole process from registering them, putting them on the waiting list, and make sure you can find the right health solution for them. That whole process is what we are facilitating for the companies. I guess that's about it about me for now.
Nice. Thomas, yourself?
I think the word was onboarding that you were looking for.
Thanks.
No, but we got it. Yeah, my name is Tamas Lonyai. I'm also partially based in the Netherlands for 10 plus years, working for Liberty Group. I did oversee from pan-European connectivity roadmap to multiple of our operations, which like Virgin Media UK, Virgin Media Ireland, VodafoneZiggo, very heavily. So I served either as a head of program management or senior program manager, depending on where I was placed. And yeah, I've seen a lot of Microsoft 365 and many other things.
Cool.
That's me.
Thanks. And Jan, yourself?
Yeah, second time here in the roundtable, indeed. My name is Jan-Frederik Kobus. I'm working for DTNext company, which focuses purely on Microsoft software. So the 365 platform, Business Central, CRM, and Power Platform. I'm the practice lead for Power Platform. I'm working for medium-sized, but also large companies, integrating Azure, Power Platform, and F&O and Business Central and CRM. That's mainly my job. Yep.
Nice. No, I appreciate the introduction, guys. Good seeing you guys all in the online as well. So yeah, like I said, the topic of discussion is going to be the AI dynamics. The first question that I was going to ask is, what does AI and Dynamics 365 currently mean to your business? Is it a productivity tool, a strategic differentiator, or something else? If anyone wants to take the lead.
I can take the lead. So I've been playing a lot with it because this is definitely the future, which we need to do something with it. But currently, I did not find any purpose yet out of the box, which can be useful at this moment. So it can provide some data of information about your data and dynamics, but the speed which is operating it, and the questions and the amount of text that you need to type to get your results, it's almost as fast as you just searching yourself for the results in Dynamics. That's my experience at this point. So it can really fast tell me something like how many active cases I have, or like how many are waiting and stuff like that. But it cannot provide me information about the case, not like intelligent information. Therefore, I just need to open the case, and I'm much faster than asking like, what is the status? When was the last contact? When did this? It's just much faster just to open the record and see it for yourself. And that's where I'm actually also looking for, like that cognitive service of AI, just to tell me, okay, this is the case. I think this is the last status which you need to know about it, and that's just not there.
I do not fully agree with that. I understand what you're saying, and I think you're referring to Copilot in many cases of this.
Yes, it's Copilot for Dynamics in this case.
Yeah, Copilot for Dynamics, yeah, indeed. And I do have the same experience that is, you ask a question like, okay, what are the last say what are the open invoices, for example, it will give you a proper answer. What are the open invoices? Sure, there are faster ways to get it. But if you look into Business Central, for example, and you ask the question, okay, give me an overview of the top 5 customers and the products related to those customers, it will instantly create a report for you. In previous time, well, you had to hire someone, which would then create a BI report, not talking about the whole data warehouse stuff below it, because Microsoft invested so much time in enhancing Copilot for Business Central that it knows the ERD and the entity relation diagram. It knows what entities are in there. It knows the relations. It knows what the synonyms are for a customer, a client, or whatever. That it's quite amazing what the results are. But AI and D365 is a broad topic. Like we've got Azure AI. You should also include Azure AI into your D365 topics. You've got AI Builder in Power Platform. You've got Copilot. You've got custom Copilot. You've got custom agents. You've got already managed by Microsoft agents, and it's getting more and more and more. From my experience, what the results are in D365, and now I must differentiate between Business Central, just D365, Power Platform, CE, CRM, sales, and of course, finance and operations. And in my experience, every usage of AI will enhance productivity. As an example, we just created one of 30 use cases for a customer where an email arrives, of course, an email arrives with a PDF and an order. Okay. Someone needs to read the email, needs to check the prices, rebates, etc., and then create a sales order in Business Central. And when you've got the sales order, you need to create the sales order lines for the products the company wants to sell, to buy. And when you're done with that, you've checked the stocks, you've checked the prices, the rebates, etc. Then you need to send an order confirmation to a specific email address, of course. Okay, so we did the math, and we come up that based on I don't know how many cases, it was about 10 to 15 minutes. Each order will cost you on the amount of time of filling out a sales order line, etc. Now, we created a flow, and based on, we call it a dealer order model, which is a trained model for the dealer orders, because there were orders from the dealers. It took the flow 1 minute and 7 seconds to create the sales order lines, validate the prices, validate the rebates, validate the stocks, send out the sales order confirmation, send out an email to the sales team if there are any deviations, so to say. Meaning that the only thing they needed to do was check in case of such an email, is there something wrong? Do we need to call the agent, or do we need to call the dealer? It's all based on this model that's trained by AI, for example. So this is one of many use cases we've used where we say, it will enhance and the productivity a lot. The company, client itself, asked us, help us reduce the labor force, not because they don't want to hire people, but they can't get people, and they're short of, say, five employees, and every time they need to go to a agency like, give me 5 people, they can do the back office work, etc., etc. And now they came to me and said, make sure that we don't need to do that again, because it's all repetitive work of entering data into the system that order goes out. And 80%, 85% of that work in that flow is done by AI. So I think, it's one of the use cases, one of the many where I say it helps a lot.
Yeah, well, I cannot compare Business Central because I'm not working with that product. But for as far as I know, the Business Central is well kind of out of the box solution, right? Where you just use the default entities and tables which are coming with software. And
yeah,
to make that translation, when I use Dynamics and I'm going to use the sales module of it, yes,
yeah,
the AI will work much better because it's built for it. It's learned about that.
sure.
But 95% of our implementations are custom implementations. Because I almost don't know any company in the Netherlands who use just the sales module. It's always something on top of it, in between. And that's where the point where AI say like, I don't know what to do with it.
Okay. So what I just mentioned was a flow. So you can extend Business Central a factor 10 compared to CRM because every company that uses Business Central has their own extensions, their own entities, etc. But there are some core entities you can work on. And what this AI model does, of course, is based on a order which arrives in PDF form. It just reads the order, gets the data out of it in specific fields, and then you're able to create a sales order case. So what you say is like many implementation of CRM will end up with a lot of customizations.
Yeah,
true.
That's
I know
our
it.
business.
I worked with that before also. And it doesn't matter if it is finance and operations, sales, CE, whatever, or Business Central. If you know the let's say the paradigm of Microsoft, which is ODO, one dynamic, one platform, meaning that you can get every even custom entity also to data first. In CRM, it is already data first. Finance and operations means that you need to either enable dual write or you need to virtualize those entities. The moment the data is available in data first, you can use the data. I mean, if you look at Copilot, data first is a knowledge search now. It's an official managed knowledge search now for Copilot, so you can create your custom Copilots where you can ask questions like, okay, whatever. Give me the top 5 product categories, which is obvious, of course, but also like, okay, what customers did pay late in 2024? Okay, you instantly get an overview because it can read the data first data, may it be the standard entities or the custom entities, and it reads the relationship. So I think there's a lot more possible.
It's also one of the reasons why I'm joining this call because we are looking for the solutions. I just did not found them yet. And I actually also had contact with Microsoft because the Dutch language was just released in April. Because before that, you was not even able to talk Dutch to it, and we have Dutch customers. But if I may give an example, we have a very nice business case when we can save like 20 FTEs for a company a year, which just answering incoming emails about the questions about the healthcare status, like how far am I on the waiting list? What's the latest status?
Yeah.
And to make it user friendly, we want to use the Outlook add-in, obviously, because the email is coming in Outlook.
Yeah.
But we built a whole connection like, okay, I can extract the information from the email so I can connect my healthcare question from Dynamics. That all works fine. But then at the same place, at the same window, if you ask Copilot a question like, please answer a reply with the latest status of the call, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Which healthcare question? You know, that connection is just missing.
No, it's not missing. There is one slider, but probably you would have said it to true that what's it called? Track the conversation, so that it tracks the conversation between each and every answer. That's one thing. So if you do this, then it will take the context of the previous answer as the context for the next answer. So it builds upon.
Oh, sorry, I mean it's supposed to get the data from Dynamics itself, from data first.
Yeah.
Understand what is the healthcare question about, what's the latest status, what is the last communication, and based on that information, writing an email as a concept, which you can reply.
So did you create a custom Copilot for that?
No. So I'm still trying to go out of the box, because if I go into the custom Copilot and Copilot Studio, I am basically not making an AI solution, but I just configuring a predefined answer. That feeling I have.
No, yeah, I don't know. So you need really to create a custom Copilot, because what you're doing now is you're integrating Outlook with Dataverse, so to say, because in Dataverse your data is stored. And Copilot doesn't have Dataverse as a knowledge source. So how should it answer them based on a data source? It can't. So you should integrate it with the knowledge source, which is Dataverse. And so in Copilot Studio, you set up your whole tree, and you also define which part of the tree will go to what the data source to give the answer based on that. If you go that way, it will track all the responses and it will stay into the context of the previous question or the original question.
Interesting. Okay, good to know that is the way to go. So something to keep track on.
Okay.
Okay, nice. I'll move on to the next question then. I'll probably ask what's the biggest obstacle to leveraging AI and Dynamics effectively?
That's a broad question.
Just any kind of obstacles or challenges potentially you've had with AI and Dynamics.
Well, in my team, to be honest, I don't have time for it because we are very busy, and it's innovation, and you need to invest in innovation.
Yeah,
it's easier if the customer pays for it, so they have a business case which we can work on. Then it's easier. But just
learning on the job
and do it. I think that's the most difficult part on my side.
Yeah, so we did quite a lot of AI stuff already for customers, which is nice, of course. But the biggest obstacle, in my opinion, is that companies want to explore AI, yet they don't have very structured processes. And they think that implementing AI will solve their, I wouldn't say chaos, but their unstructured processes. And it will not. So if you want to fully get the leverage and the use of AI, you also need to pay attention to are my processes properly structured? Because if you've got a structured process, you can take out stuff from it and you can put AI in place. And then you also can predict the outcome way better than if you just implement AI in a, say, completely manual process which is not documented. That I think is not the proper way to do it. It's also an issue with most clients that think that AI will solve their problem.
Just, I think everything is correct, and especially Jan, what you just explained. From a large enterprise point of view, the problem of innovation is always that there is a lot of incumbent, very old legacy systems, always, which are extremely painful to touch, extremely dangerous to touch, and it's also a lot, let's say, impacted the decisions how to change or move forward or where to migrate to becomes often a political topic of the broader strategy. So these are not things that companies like to do and spend, 10, 15, 20 million euros, dollars, pounds, whatever you name it. And because of that, and also, there are some processes that are aligned, but it's again how largely you look at these things, and there are a lot of workarounds at an enterprise level as well. So to get things on one common denominator, to be able to really leverage what AI could do, that's a very bumpy, expensive, and complicated road for major enterprises. So I'm talking Virgin Media or
Yeah,
companies of VodafoneZiggo. I can very deeply, knowledgeable on that topic as well. And and then there is an umbrella above as called Liberty Global. I don't know how much you guys aware of this company or not. Pretty major player who has a pan-European strategy with 6, 7, 8 operations, major operations that are completely different in every aspect, every blueprint, and that makes it so fragmented that you can only kind of local solutions that you can really develop and roll out when it comes to AI instead of something much broader. Yeah.
I do agree, but this also applies to everything about Azure. Um, or any solution you want to build for a large enterprise company. I work for Nike, for example, and they've got a European headquarters. They've got, of course, the US. If you want to, if you create a solution for Europe, which is already covering 33 countries, I think, in total, then you need to comply with the US mandates, like, okay, you need to use this type of software, you need to use that type of API or integration, which will, of course, then also involve the headquarters architects, for example. It will lengthen your project. It will say the end time will shift towards a couple of months or maybe a year later. That's always difficult. Doesn't matter what. If it's AI, if it's a solution, if it's implementing Azure, um, that applies to any type of IT development in large enterprises, say pan-European or worldwide acting enterprises. But it's not solely just for AI, I think.
No, that's 100% true. But the question was
But
about
it's
AI,
difficult.
but yeah.
But Thomas, did you work on AI and CRM or Business Central or Finance and Operations?
Um, I did oversee programs which touched upon some of these
Yeah,
subjects, but I'm also, let's say, viewing these elements from different point of views. We do use different applications. We do implement AI. We're working on a or testing capabilities of Copilot
yeah,
on a large
yeah,
scale. And of course, Liberty was part of that initial, I don't know, 300, 3,000 companies, whatever, that very early
yeah,
got involved. And actually, it was firstly implemented to a certain extent at Virgin Media. Um, but again, that's the biggest problem, what I just said. And if you put this on a larger scheme of things, then the pressure from this, we are a publicly listed company.
yeah,
Public and market pressure on the stocks often redirect certain investments and say
sure.
that, yeah, we really need to put now this additional $300 million on something else, and that needs to come out of 17 different pockets. And one of the pockets is legacy modernization program. This is something that we can hang on to this. That's fine.
Yeah,
It's this provisioning was done 15 years ago, but it's still running. So,
yeah.
at the end, it doesn't add any customer value. And that's the most important in such a crucial market conditions that there is out there,
Hmm.
that the customer doesn't care what's going on in the background.
No,
He
no.
cares the cheapest and the most modern and the buzzwords and all the other things that we do. And of course, we do a lot of media and a lot of things. And then you need money to buy expensive sports rights. In the Netherlands, we, I don't know, hold on, somebody calling me from the Netherlands. We,
Was
we
me.
we bought exclusive media rights to the Champions League.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that's more important than a top-notch co-pilot for a customer.
true.
And that's why the basics are not there. That's why, from a small company point of view, is often this stepping up of innovation is much easier because there is no 50, 100, 200,000 people and processes and all those things impacted. Much easier to do a transition or already start up on better grounds. I can imagine that a company started 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and it has, let's say, tech-savvy owners, then they already, to a certain extent, thinking about to, follow the new age principles
Yeah,
and maybe already sticking to one ecosystem, be it AWS or Microsoft or whatever. And then it's much easier to build from there. Or if you need to change something, it's a smaller smaller thing than it is for us.
I even, yeah, it's true, Thomas. I even noticed it at a company, no, not a company, institution, university, not so large as Liberty, but 5,000 employees. A lot of back office systems. And they all need to keep them running because, yeah, there wasn't that much money for,
Yeah,
how do you say
but
this?
they big enough and old enough to having the same type of sicknesses or illnesses, let's say, than a large enterprise. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's
yeah.
not, and they there probably what, 30 years, 50,
Yeah,
100, I
well,
don't
you know
know.
what? So we tried Copilot there too, and it ended up after 4 months. Because first of all, it will cost you quite a lot of money if you want 5,000 licenses for that. And second, if you don't have an idea about the use cases of Copilot within your company or within your institution, then you shouldn't start because it's not like, okay, give everyone a license and they can do whatever they want with Copilot. Yeah, for what? For what? And also you need to have something like um, what data sources can they query, so to say? What do we allow them to have access to and to query that with Copilot? Um, so it ended up after I think 6 months that they stopped the pilot, and it ended up with just 50 people or so using Copilot. Um, we also started there a AI project. And it was a funny one, I would like to tell. It was a funny one. So they've got a real shortage of assistants to the professor. Okay. So imagine following 40 or 45,000 students, lots of professors, but there were not so many assistants to the professors. So what we created was an AI assistant to the professor. And it was funny, nothing to do with CRM. And nothing to do with D365, but it's a really nice story. So what this AI assistant did was the following. Every student could ask 7 times 24. So each day, every hour, a question to the system. And the system was fed with data from the courses. So you couldn't go outside with the data, like to the web or whatever, but it's fully all of the course material was the knowledge source. And the professor was also providing input for the prompts. And what it helped with the professor was he wasn't getting that much question anymore. Emails in the evening, emails early in the morning, because the students are now using that AI assistant to the professor, which I think also a nice implementation of AI. It can help. It will help in some cases.
For sure.
No, thank you for the input, guys, on that question. The next question that we do have is which business function in your organization has seen the most value in by using AI within Dynamics or yeah.
Well, I've got two attendees that haven't seen the value currently.
Yeah, I think if you just looked at the previous questions, we use a lot of AI, but not specifically in Dynamics. It's kind of the conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah, what we do at DTNext is we have clients. I mean, medium to enterprise level. Like we've got a commodity trade in Germany, 4 billion turnover. We're helping them also with AI. We've got customers ranging from 10 million until say 300-400 million euros in turnover. We're also helping them with AI. What we're basically doing is currently, I don't call it innovative. I just call it like, can we automate processes way better with the help of AI? Because we still in the Netherlands have got a lot of processes based on documentation, a lot of processes based on manual input from different persons, and there is where we put AI in place. Um, be it like automatically creating tasks in CRM, for example, based on the input from a customer or a lead from a salesperson, that we can automatically create relevant tasks, assign it to the relevant people, all based on AI. Or like what I mentioned before, you get a document, you extract all say the contents of that document, and you fill the systems. Not necessarily need to be only D365. We also push data to SAP, for example. Okay, so and also what we do is a large logistics company, and Tamas said it before, like you can't hardly touch those back offices. True, true. The only thing is that if you get them at the point where they're willing to provide, say, a standardized output, what we need, like a JSON or an XML file, and they're able to push it to an API port we provide, then we can do everything with that back office data we want. And that's where we also put, for example, Azure anomaly, anomaly, they call it. So you get a bunch of data, and then you can see, okay, for that customer, that's really weird. These type of transactions. So yeah, quite a lot to say.
Okay, okay, nice. It seems like obviously AI is coming up a bit more. I feel as if maybe the future when it comes to dynamics, and I feel as if a lot more companies will be using it a lot more. What would you say is that the most exciting thing that would be coming in the next 12 to 18 months that you'd like to see from AI and dynamics?
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I think compared to your workloads, we are fishing in a very small business with small end-to-end solutions. Yeah, like I said, just an out-of-the-box functionality which already connects data first, so you don't have to make any co-pilots. Just use it, ask it, and the things will be done for you. Without building the co-pilot studio and telling actually the co-pilot what it needs to do. That will be nice.
Okay. Tamas?
I think for us, large enterprises, either we need to fix our basics and try to get things on one denominator, or maybe eventually there will be a solution to tap into legacy systems with and databases with where you can go either way, because I think that would really increase the adaptation on a larger, more complex scale of AI usage, which I think would be fantastic.
I also think that the next step, not the end step, but the next step would be so we're talking about these 365, so Microsoft. So make sure that it will be able in the near future to understand structured data. So to understand whatever is stored in Dataverse, whatever is stored in SQL, and understand the relationships between the entities, between the fields. Because it is partly possible now in Dataverse, is for sure not currently possible in SQL Server. But if we were able to leverage that AI, that it understands all the relationships, then we can have a, say, a system based on AI that understands what the data is meaning and what the relationships are and get proper answers from the system. That will be the next level for, say, the next 4 to 6 months. That will be nice. Second thing I would like to see is that we've got the agents and the agent swarms, and there's a lot of buzzwords around it. For me, the next thing would be creating those agents, learning those agents, training those agents in specific tasks, and creating a swarm that, with a lead, it all sounds very science fiction, but it's like a main agent that is able to direct a question towards a one or other agents, that, and the whole orchestration then takes place and comes back with a proper answer or with an action or do something, and being able be in control over those activities. I don't want a black box that's operating fully autonomous, because I want to be able to interrupt.
There's a Chinese service which exactly like this.
Sorry, the Chinese service?
There's a Chinese AI service. Yes, it's called Manus.ai. It's exactly what it does, what you just explained. You give a task, of course, it's Chinese, and we are American company, we don't do Chinese stuff. But
I know.
but you can play with it. There is a main agent that you give a prompt, and then it can establish, I think, unlimited sub agents who work on elements, and then it all comes together, and then we can.
Well, it's the agent swarm theory, and I haven't seen it properly working yet.
Look,
no, I will try it.
Just have a look. I don't know that, I didn't play with it extensively to give an opinion. I know people who do. They say that it's pretty cool. What your definition of properly working is a different story. But I'm just saying that that's also already happening. So, I agree. Microsoft has some catching up to do.
They announced it. Microsoft announced it also, I think, January. And they introduced in last year in Slovenia, they introduced the term like agentification. Oh, nice. And this year we were in Chicago on a congress, and they showed some of those agents in finance and operation, which was really nice. But it was like, okay, there's only 4 or 5 agents in finance and operations. It's not so much for a year of work, but that we know they keep pushing on it. But they also introduced in the term agent swarms, and that is something I would like to see in the next 8 to 10 months. Like, okay, how will this agent swarm theory set up work properly? Am I able to ask a question which then automatically fills my CRM data, creates an order in Business Central, etc., etc.? So, yeah.
Okay, nice. No, I appreciate you guys giving input on what would you like improved with AI. I think one thing I'll probably just ask is if you guys want to run through any questions that you guys have about the topic or anything that could help your business out from each other.
It's nothing to do with AI, more with Formula One and Liberty Media, but no.
And also us.
Yeah,
Well,
I know.
Maybe just think that I'm missing, but maybe you are more aware of documentation and training possibilities from Microsoft about these topics. I think they are very lacking in providing those. I mean, there are no certificates which you can get. There are no like very learning courses how to get things done in addition to Dynamics 365, because that's just like a black hole.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it's lacking proper documentation on that. It's scarce. I mean, there's not a lot of documentation. There is some documentation, but not a lot. True. If you're looking at the 65 CRM and AI, basically what you need to go for is looking on AI in Dataverse and what you can do with AI in Dataverse, because specifically for the sales field servers and CRM modules, not, because they're building Copilot for that, Copilot agents for that. So if you want to do something on your own and build custom Copilots, then you need to go to that documentation.
Okay, perfect. I'm guessing that no one has anything else to ask or any input that you guys want to put in.
I have another question, but those are more likely operational questions, which triggers me like how we can do stuff, solve stuff. But I think that's not for the broader discussion.
If you want to ask it, or it's up to you guys, if you're open to that question, by all means, if it'll help out, if you'll help yourself out.
Well, Jan, maybe you can elaborate a bit more. Like you said, you can set up the Copilot Studio and then just go through the Dataverse data to get an answer back. But how can you make the connection to the endpoint, like to indeed within the Outlook interface, or make it easier for the end customer to use it? Because that's also the connection I cannot place yet.
That's setting up the whole conversation tree. So the trigger is receiving a message from Outlook, and it will respond to the message of Outlook if you put the trigger on the message of Outlook. And then, well, basically the conversation tree is then going through your what you did, what you just set up, but it will respond back to what the trigger was.
Okay. So basically making a trigger out of the email to go to the workflow. Yeah. Things to try. Yeah. I was always looking like the input from the Copilot, with it's the sales Copilot, which you actually activate in Outlook. I was looking for that solution. How can it be done from there? And just something which is not connected, because it's Copilot for sales and not for your customer.
Yeah. It's totally different. Yeah, I understand.
So maybe that's another way of look at it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, no, it seems like obviously the discussion's gone quite well. Hope you guys took something from this as well that can help you guys out. I've always appreciate you guys always joining as well. Always good seeing people and obviously contributing as well. But yeah, obviously if I can help out in any way, by all means just reach out to myself. But I'll wrap up the call. I appreciate everyone joining and the input that you guys put in.
See you next time.
Thanks.
Perfect. I'll see you guys later. Yeah. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.